Hello everyone, welcome to this lesson on coding with Python. My name is Gbadamosi Idris and I will be taking you on this learner's journey to getting programming skills using PyCharm IDE. We expect you to have done some basic coding with PictoBlocks or MIT Scratch. You can check our catalogs for these lessons. All this provides foundational structure to our learning of programming. In our next slide, we'll look at the scope of this lesson. This course covers the basics of coding. We will learn how to write codes using Python programming language in a fun-filled manner. It is suitable for those with little or no knowledge of coding. In our next slide, we will be introduced to Python programming. For this lesson, our topic is Introduction to Python using PyCharm. In our next slide, we will see the objectives for this lesson. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to 1. Define programming. 2. Mention the programming concept. 3. Mention examples of programming languages. 4. Identify Python programming language. 5. Mention the uses of Python programming language. 6. Install a Python integrated development environment software. 7. Identify features of the integrated development environment interface. 8. Create a new project in PyCharm. 9. Add comments to the program. 10. Add print function to the program. 11. Run the program. In our next slide, we will see the definition of programming. Computer programming is the process of developing and implementing various sets of instructions to enable the computer to do certain tasks. These instructions are considered computers' programs and they help the computer to operate smoothly. The concept of programming covers the fundamentals of programming. Although not universal, but these concepts are present in the majority of computer programming languages and are core to the programming process. In our next slide, we will look at the concept of programming. The programming concepts are fundamental to every programming language, and they are algorithms, source code, compiler, conditionals, class, functions, loops, arrays, constant, variables, and data types. In our next slide, we will see examples of programming languages. Here are some examples of programming languages. 1. Python programming language. 2. PHP. 3. Java. 4. C++. 5. C#. 6. C. And 7. JavaScript. In our next slide, we will discuss some facts about Python programming language. Python is developed by Guido van Rossum. Guido van Rossum started implementing Python in 1989. Python is a simple programming language compared to other programming languages, so learners new to programming can learn Python without facing much issues. Interesting fact about Python. Python was named after a comedy television show called the Monty Python Flying Circus. It is not named after the Python snake. In our next slide, we will see some features of Python programming language. The features of Python programming language includes 1. Easy to learn. Learning Python is as easy as it is an expressive and high-level programming language. 2. Free. Python is free to download and use. 3. Open source. Python is an open source programming language because it is accessible to anyone with programming skills to improve upon the existing source code. 4. Python supports exception handling. Newbies may wonder, what is an exception? An exception is an event that occurs during programming. Exceptions can disrupt the normal flow of the program. Python supports exception handling because it can assist users write less error-prone code and can test various scenarios that is likely going to cause an exception while running your code. 5. Python has a large standard library. Python comes with a large standard library that has some handy codes and functions which can be used when writing codes in Python. 6. Python has an automatic memory management. Python supports automatic memory management, which means the memory is cleared and freed automatically. You do not have to bother about clearing the memory. 7. Cross-platform. Python is available and can run on various operating systems such as Mac, Windows, Linux, and Unix. This makes it a cross-platform and portable language. 8. Readable. Python is very readable and user-friendly. New users find Python programming easier to understand and practice. In our next slide, we'll see some uses of Python programming language. Here are some uses of Python. Web development. Web framework like Django and Flask are based on Python. Machine learning. There are many machine learning applications written in Python. Data analysis. Data analysis and data visualization in form of charts can also be developed using Python. Scripting. Scripting is writing small programs to automate simple tasks such as sending automated response emails. Game development. You can develop game using Python. Desktop applications. You can develop desktop applications in Python using libraries like Tkinter or Qt5. In our next slide, we will learn about comments in Python. Comments are text that does not affect the outcome of a code. It is just a piece of text to let someone know what you have done in a program. This is helpful when someone else has written a code and you are debugging it. Types of comments in Python. There are two types of comments in Python: single line comment and multiple line comment. In our next slide, we'll continue learning about comments in Python. Here are examples of how to use comments in Python. Learners can see the result of their code in the terminal window or the Python console. In our next slide, we will see how to install the PyCharm IDE, Integrated Development Environment software. Here is a link to download PyCharm. Remember to select the right operating system. In our next slide, we will see the steps to install the PyCharm Integrated Development Environment.